Tim, great to have you here with us today. And I wanted to introduce you as Chief of Staff at the NCAA, or maybe.
No, not Chief of Staff. That was the old title.
So
the current title is Senior Vice President for External Affairs. So I oversee communications, government relations, and research for the association.
Terrific. And do you mind sort of taking us back to, your earlier days when you got involved in politics?
So I was working on Republican campaigns in Massachusetts, and people always ask me why. It's blue state. There was something about kind of going against the grain that I enjoyed early on in my career. And so when you work in Republican circles in the state of Massachusetts, there's ups and downs. There's usually more losing than there is winning.
Is there a standout example or two that were really big challenges for you in that respect that you could talk about?
Yeah. My first job in government, I was a communications director for the administration. So I oversaw about 36 press secretaries, communications directors, social media directors across all the state government, including a group of 5 or 6 people inside the governor's office that formed the governor's press office. But the real challenging part of the job was those 36 other positions that we oversaw. It was really hard to get the balance right between, you can't run that type of position with an iron fist. You can't approve every statement and edit every speech that anyone in government's going to give. But at the same time, you can't have people kind of going off script and saying whatever they want. And so getting that balance between, it's management style. I learned a lot in that position of getting the balance right between kind of micromanaging and giving people enough autonomy to do their jobs too.
So then let's talk about the segue into the NCAA. I mean, I know the governor's term was over, right? How did the switch work into the NCAA?
It's a real natural fit. So, college sports and the NCAA is very political, and not political like Republicans and Democrats, but just the way it works. It has a lot of committees. It has groups and individuals who make up the membership and make key decisions from all corners of the country with very different interests. But somehow you got to learn to figure out how to make it all work, which is very political. Yeah. The one thing I should add about what I took from my time in government and applied to the NCAA was learning how to listen to people, especially when I became chief of staff. You get thrown out there with advocates for an issue who are coming to state government and saying, whether it's a housing advocacy group or an immigrant advocacy group or something, these issues that they care really deeply about and they have a really long history with, and you're just coming at it at a really high level. You don't know half of what these folks know about it. Or if you're dealing with a mayor or a state rep from a certain part of the state, those are your experts. They live their issues, they breathe their issues, and you're coming at it with just an inch of knowledge. And so in government, especially the chief of staff job, I learned how to sit back, listen, figure out kind of what people cared about, why they cared about it, how that fit into the issue as it worked at a statewide level, and then figure out what to do about it. Kind of early on, sometimes you go into those meetings thinking you had the answer, and you were going to go into that space to tell them, here's what I think we can do, or here's what we want to do. And so at the NCAA, it was very similar. I'm new to college sports. I wasn't going to show up and say, this is the answer, this is how we need to do it. You talk to football coaches, you talk to athletic directors, you talk to faculty athletic representatives, you talk to student athletes. They all have really different perspectives on the issues that we need to deal with. And for a new person like myself coming in, I had to remember how to step back, listen, learn, and absorb all that before kind of figuring out the right path.
Now that you've been in the NCAA for a while, I mean, what are some of the things you can talk about in terms of the impact with student athletes? I mean, there's a big changing landscape.
I mean, the goal right now of leaders at the NCAA is stability and sustainability. NCAA programs generate $4 billion in academic aid every single year. It's a huge asset to the country.
Wow.
Student athletes gain an incredible experience competing at the highest levels of their sport, something they've been training for years. And they get a fantastic education along the way. There's all kinds of stats about how student athletes are graduating at higher degrees than their non-athlete peers. C-suite women are so much more likely to have had some experience competing, especially at the NCAA level. College sports propels people to go on to do great things. And we make up 2/3. NCAA athletes make up 2/3 of Team USA. It's college sports plays this super important role across the country. And right now we're facing a couple different threats that makes that difficult. The employment issue, we believe, would be catastrophic for college sports. And some of the challenges that we're facing in the courtrooms right now, challenges to our rules, the basic ability to have, just to set rules that say college athletes should compete for about 5 years and then move on, opening up opportunities for the next generation of high school students to come in and get that same opportunity.
Yeah.
Those are the things we need to sort out. Those are the things that are kind of under attack right now. So
yeah,
that's what we hope to bring some stability and sustainability. So for years to come, young people can have the same opportunities that the young people now have.
Because it really, you're talking about 98% or more of the student athletes in the affiliated with the NCAA that are, in theory, not going to be professional athletes. And
oh yeah, tiny fraction. Yeah. And even to expand on that, I mean, roughly 95% of athletic departments aren't generating significant amounts of revenue.
Yeah.
And most of the time, this is an investment. For almost all schools, almost all divisions, this is an investment in a student athlete's experience. It's an investment in that institution, and not not typical of what you maybe see during the CFP or something like that.
Yeah. Any other sort of things that you're seeing that you'd like to mention that are maybe positive changes, that, because we're talking about the negative ones, but there's some really good.
There's a tremendous amount of positive change happening at the NCAA and college sports in general. So just at the D1 level, we made some changes last year. And so for the first time ever, every single D1 institution has to guarantee every single student athlete on their campus a certain minimum amount of healthcare coverage. Their scholarships are guaranteed. So if a young person is offered a 4-year scholarship to come and to come play a sport, if they decide to stop playing, or if they're if they stop playing for some reason, they're still guaranteed that scholarship. They can finish their degree. And then overall, for all 3 divisions, we launched an insurance product. We call it the Post Eligibility Insurance Program. So any student athlete from any division, if they're dealing with an injury that they got while practicing or competing, if they're dealing with treatment for that injury after they graduate, the NCAA can cover the costs of that treatment for 2 years after graduation. That's something we're pretty proud of.
If you were to say to a sophomore or junior, what are some general pieces of advice?
I've always found the most promising the young people that I've worked with, they had that mentality that no job is too small. And just have an open mind as you're coming out of school. It's okay to be taking a position that might be kind of adjacent to where you think you want to be.
Second, what about hey Tim, it's nice to meet you. I'm reaching out. How does something like that sit with somebody like you?
It's less like the formality of it and just getting to the point in a clear and concise way.
Yeah.
Very true with networking too. I'm not the guy to hand out advice on networking. It's probably my least favorite thing to do professionally, but go into those things and go into your writing communication similarly. Be upfront and clear about what you want, why you want it, and what you're asking for. And don't be afraid to ask.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you very much. this is really, it's a great opportunity for us to introduce you to the BluChip community and for us to get a sense of how you see things developing through the NCAA. So I really appreciate it, and
Do it.
look forward to staying in touch.